Force be with us.
Hello everybody, how are you, and welcome back to the channel for a brand new Star Wars Battlefront video. We have been diving deep into Battlefront 2015 pretty recently, and today is no different, continuing the series of comparing Battlefront 2015's heroes with Battlefront 2's heroes. Now, in the boss comparison, you guys said that you wanted to see a video on Luke Skywalker, which is exactly what we'll be doing today. We'll be looking at each version of Luke from both games and comparing their abilities, weapons, and passive traits. So, without further ado, let's get started. Starting off with Battlefront 2015, and Luke Skywalker possesses 1100 health, a little over the standard hero health pool of 1000. His weapon of choice is of course his iconic green lightsaber, which he constructed in Return of the Jedi. However, using Luke on Hoth will allow him to use his father's blue lightsaber. His lightsaber is a one-hit kill to anywhere on the body, and has a swing speed of around a second. With no stamina attached to his lightsaber attacks, Luke can swing his lightsaber pretty much forever. His lightsaber deflections allow him to deflect all shots fired at him from the front back onto players. Luke can block for around 5 seconds before needing to regenerate his stamina. His left ability is his Force Push. When activated, this ability will one-shot any infantry in its range, and when used on heroes, will stun them momentarily, allowing you to follow up with some lightsaber attacks. His right ability is Saber Rush, which has to be my favorite ability. Luke performs an extremely large lunge, swinging his lightsaber mid-air, killing anyone in his path. This ability is a multi-kill machine and can also allow Luke to get to new heights. His final middle ability is his Heavy Attack, which is a powerful sweeping attack that kills anyone in Luke's way. When using this ability at the same time as Vader, you will be locked into a saber clash duel, which looks pretty cool. If I'm being honest, this ability is not very good. For a character like Luke that's all about speed, this ability has a really slow animation that leaves him quite vulnerable to be shot at. His passive trait is probably one of the best in the game. Luke channels his inner Thierry Henry and gets faster and faster when killing enemies. At trait level 1, his sprint speed is increased by 25%, following a 50% increase at trait level 2, and at trait level 3, his sprint speed is increased to a whopping 80%, making him nearly impossible to hit. Luke is definitely one of my favorite heroes to play in Battlefront 2015, with his super aggressive playstyle and crazy speed. Moving on to Battlefront 2, and Luke has a health pool of 750, with the same two choice of lightsabers. His lightsaber deals 130 damage to the front and 160 to the back, and to couple that with his 2.45 swings per second, his primary attack is extremely deadly. With 10 fast swings possible, it's no wonder why Luke is such a swing spammer's dream. His lightsaber allows for 1112 deflections possible, along with highly accurate shot deflections. A great thing about Luke is his stamina regeneration. After he runs out of stamina, he will get it back extremely quickly, so you really don't have to waste any time waiting for him to get his energy back. His left ability remains the Force Push. This version of the push may seem weaker, only being able to insta-kill 3 of the 4 base classes, but knocks enemies off their feet and pushes them far away. Using this ability on maps with ledges honestly seems kind of unfair, as you can knock any enemy into the void with little skill required. His right ability is his Saber Rush, which deals 100 damage per hit. Luke can perform 2 rushes in a short period of time, which allows him to get behind enemies or finish them off after hitting them. His final middle ability is his Repulse, which deals 130 damage to any enemies around him. Similar to Chewbacca's Charge Slam, this ability is centered around Luke, and any enemies in a 360-degree radius will be killed or injured. His passive trait is of course Health on Kill, which grants Luke 20 health per infantry kill and 100 health per hero kill. Again, Luke is one of my favorite heroes to play in Battlefront 2. His fast sprint speed with quick lightsaber attacks allow him to move around the map, spending little time killing enemies. Primary weapon. This one's a bit tricky. Even though both games have the same primary weapon, they feel very different. Battlefront 2015's Luke is able to one-hit kill any enemy, but has a pretty low swing speed, whilst Battlefront 2's Luke has a much faster swing speed, but usually requires more than one swing to kill an enemy. I feel like Battlefront 2's lightsaber is a little better. Luke's playstyle is all about speed, and that pretty low swing speed in Battlefront 2015 is what knocks it down for me. When it comes to lightsaber deflections, both are pretty similar. In Battlefront 2015, you can only block for around 5 seconds, needing to regenerate your stamina once that block goes down. In Battlefront 2, you can block for a much longer time, and with Luke's stamina regeneration being fairly quick, you can lower your block and gain all your stamina back pretty quickly. I'm giving this point to Battlefront 2. Luke's attacks feel extremely fluid and quick, all while dealing great damage and being able to deflect dozens of shots. Health and survivability. These two passive abilities on paper are extremely different, but when you're playing as both versions of Luke, you'll realize they act in kind of the same way. Battlefront 2015's Luke has no health regeneration. However, his speed is unmatched when his trait is maxed out, with landing a shot on him being next to impossible. Battlefront 2's Luke has health on kill, and already comes with the fastest sprint speed in his game. Battlefront 2015's Luke may have more health, but when playing a close quarters hero with no health regeneration, you'll notice your health going down by intervals of 25% every 2 minutes. I'm going to give this point to Battlefront 2. Luke is able to survive on the battlefield for the entire game if played right, and I haven't been able to accumulate the same success from Battlefront 2015 and haven't seen anyone in the games I've played do that. Battlefront 2015's passive ability is great, don't get me wrong, but with the high damage output in that game and Luke relying on close quarters to get kills, he can get killed off pretty quickly. Force Push. Both these pushes are his best abilities in my opinion, being free multi-kills in many scenarios. Battlefront 2015's is a lot more basic of the two however. It kills regular troopers and stuns heroes. Battlefront 2's actually has a ragdoll effect however, and that is a huge factor of the ability. While it does kill most infantry, those who survive will be pushed away and land on the ground, taking a second to get back up. The same applies to heroes, making this ability great in 1v1s. I'm sure we've all lost our minds once or twice playing against a Luke on Kashyyyk who just constantly pushes you off the map, and it shows how useful this ability is. I'm giving this point to Battlefront 2. Both abilities are the same on paper, but with Battlefront 2's ragdoll, it adds an additional positive to the ability. Saber Rush. This one is extremely easy for me to decide, so I'm just gonna go ahead and give the point to Battlefront 2015. Let me explain. Battlefront 2015's Saber Rush not only one-hits enemies, but can also be activated mid-air and lets him jump to places he normally wouldn't reach. On top of that, his ability has an extremely quick duration, so by the time you actually see Luke, chances are he will already kill you with his rush. Now all this is not to discredit Battlefront 2's Saber Dash, in fact it's also pretty good. Combining it with your base lightsaber attack is a great way to kill off enemies and it works really well in saber duels. However, Battlefront 2015 gets this point. Middle ability. Heavy Strike vs Repulse, an unfair comparison, but we gotta do it. I've expressed my distaste with the Heavy Strike before, but I'll say it again, it's super slow. You're better off waiting for your other abilities to get off cooldown than to try and get multi-kills with this. It's good in heroes vs villains, but that's only against heroes. Heroes that can melt your health away while you're in the animation, by the way. Repulse, on the other hand, is fantastic, knocking all enemies around you off their feet and killing enemies that have less than full health. This ability is not nearly as good as the Push, but it's still very useful for when you're surrounded by troopers. I'm giving this point to Battlefront 2. I just think you are going to use the Repulse way more often than the Heavy Strike. Passive ability. Speed vs health. This is tricky. Battlefront 2's health on kill allows you to survive for nearly the whole game, as long as you're killing enemies. Battlefront 2015's increased sprint speed allows you to run around the battlefield like Kylian Mbappe while killing enemies. I'm giving this point to Battlefront 2015. I think that the increased sprint speed is amazing. Not only does it allow you to reach different points of the map faster, but it also makes you harder to hit and lets you take out enemies quickly, along with outrunning any vehicles or heroes. So, who is better? After tallying up all the points, I think that Battlefront 2 finally wins something. I really do think that the version of Luke from Battlefront 2 is a lot better. He's a lot more well-rounded, and while Battlefront 2015 does have some upsides, I think that Battlefront 2's Luke is just the better and more complete version. So that is going to do it for this video, guys. We only have a few videos of this series left to go, with the next one being the Emperor himself. Let me know down below which version of Luke you prefer down in the comments. And while you're scrolling down there, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I know I said that Luke from Battlefront 2 is better, but if I'm being honest, I love playing Battlefront 2015's Luke a lot more. The consistency on this channel has been worse than Bayern Munich's as of late. I am doing longer form content with a lot more editing, so videos naturally take longer to make. My next video, other than this one, will be on the Best Bin retrospective, so expect that video in around 2 weeks. I can promise you, it'll be in October. Thank you all for the support on the channel. See you guys next time. Bye.
Sector is clear. Not clear.